To make this benefit more certain, I immediately heard an interior exhortation, without knowing clearly from whence it proceeded. While it severely reprehended me for my disloyalty and my wrongful ways, it at the same time admonished and enlightened, instructed and corrected me. It furnished me with a deep understanding of good and evil, of virtue and vice, of what was secure, useful, and beneficial, as well as their contraries. It laid open to me the way of eternity, gave me a knowledge of the means and of the end, of the value of life everlasting, and of the miserable unhappiness and the so little considered ruin of endless perdition. In the profound knowledge of these two extremes, I confess that I was dumbfounded and cast about between the fear of my dreadful infirmity and the desire of reaching the happiness of which I was unworthy on account of my demerits. I was full of the thought of the kindness and mercy of the Most High, and the fear of losing him. I beheld the two different ends awaiting the creatures, eternal glory and eternal misery, and it seemed a small matter to me to suffer all the pains and the torments of the world, of purgatory and hell itself, in order to attain to the one and to avoid the other. And although I perceived that the divine help is assured to those who seek to make use of it, yet as I also saw by this light that life and death are in our hands, and that our weakness or malice may prevent the proper use of grace, and that the tree will lie for all eternity as it once has fallen, on this account I was overcome by the deepest sorrow, which penetrated my heart. This sorrow was increased by a most severe answer or inquiry which came from the Lord. For while I found myself thus annihilated in the consciousness of my weakness and danger, and by the thought of having offended his justice, so that I dared not raise my eyes toward him, he met my speechless sorrow by the advances of his mercy, saying to me in answer to them, "Which dost thou wish, my soul? Which dost thou seek? Which of these ways wilt thou choose? What is thy resolve?" This question was an arrow to my heart, for although I knew for certain that the Lord knew my desires better than I myself, the delay between the question and the answer was incredibly painful to me. I wished, if possible, that the Lord should anticipate my answer and should not show himself ignorant of the response which I would give. But, impelled by great emotion, I made response in words coming from the innermost of soul and said, "Lord and omnipotent God, the path of virtue, the way of eternal life do I choose. This do I desire, and in this do thou place me. And as I do not merit it in thy justice, I appeal to thy mercy, and I offer for myself the infinite merits of thy most holy Son and my Redeemer, Jesus Christ." I was made aware that this highest judge remembered the promise which is given to the church, that he would grant all that is asked in the name of his only begotten, that in him and on his account my petition was granted, and its fulfillment hastened according to my poor wishes. Certain conditions were made and proposed to me by an intellectual voice, saying to me interiorly, "Soul, created by the hand of the Almighty, if thou wishest, as one of the elect, to follow in the path of the true light and attain the position of a most chaste spouse of the Lord, who calls thee, it is befitting that thou observe the laws and precepts of love. The first thing required of thee is that thou reject entirely all earthly inclinations, renouncing all and every affection toward the transient things, so that thou have no love or affection toward any created being, no matter how useful, beautiful, or agreeable it may appear to thee. Cherish no created image, harbor no earthly affection, let thy will rest in no created object, except in so far as thy Lord and spouse shall command thee for the well-ordering of thy love, or in so far as thou canst be aided thereby to love him alone."